What the fork is happening?
After season 1's big twist, what's going to happen to our favorites in season 2 of The Good Place? Let's break down the first 2 episodes on what happened. What's up, you lovely people? Lisa here, and I know if you've been on my channel, I usually recap more teen-oriented shows, but I actually watch all kinds of TV, and with fall TV returning in full force in the next few weeks, I wanted to test out some other show recaps. So I'm going to start with The Good Place. Now, with all the TV that premiered last year, I somehow ended up missing this show, but recently binged it on Netflix and was just like blown away. I am usually so good at picking up on twists in shows, but this is one I didn't even see coming. And also, it's funny and it's smart, and I love Kristen Bell. Now, I'm guessing if you clicked on this video, you've seen season 1, and if you haven't, go watch it now. Get off this video. So season 1 left off with our 4 humans figuring out, well, Eleanor, played by Kristen Bell, figuring out that they were actually in the bad place the whole time, not the good place. So Michael reset everything to try again, but not before Eleanor slipped a note to Janet. So will the second time be the charm? Long story short, nope, and they figured out a lot faster this time, so let's see how that all happened. To kick off season 2, we got a 1-hour episode, and instead of seeing just Eleanor's point of view, we're getting everyone's. The episode opens with Michael trying to convince his boss Sean that the second time will work, and he's kept everything that made all the humans miserable in season 1, plus added more things that they're gonna hate. For example, coffee that comes out of the Keurig type pods. That's the only coffee they're gonna get. And everyone will also have a new soulmate. While Michael's pretty confident in his new plan, Sean is pretty sure Michael is stupid and he's just gonna fail again. Michael ends up briefing all the other citizens of the bad place in this neighborhood, which I guess I'm just gonna call them actors since they're technically acting for Michael. He briefs them on their new roles, and the main goal for the night is to get Eleanor drunk at the welcome party so she'll give another ridiculous speech so they'll have things to work off that cause chaos for her moving forward. And they kind of hint at the little clues that were in season 1 that we might have missed, like obviously Eleanor stole all the shrimp and had a big thing with shrimp, so during one of the neighborhood flying scenes, I think maybe it was, I'm not quite sure which one exactly, they had giant flying shrimp. Also, now that I know Michael's intentions, I pick up on much more of the little evil things he hints at when he's talking to the humans and the way that he says things and whatever, that it makes me actually want to watch season 1 again to try to pick up on all the clues that were planted there for the twist. The first of the human stories we see is Eleanor. When she's in her house and Michael leaves, Janet gives her the note she put in her mouth at the end of season 1 that said to find Chidi. Eleanor has no idea what or who Chidi is, so when she ends up running into Jason, who is Jianyu again at this point, she asks if he's Chidi. But of course, he can't talk, and Michael just tells her, oh, that guy's a silent monk. Before leaving, Jason hands her a gear, which Eleanor ends up thinking is some kind of magical bracelet or amulet from a wizard. Michael tells Eleanor she's not like everyone else, and you can tell that he's starting to plant some seeds, but of course, he says she's not like everyone else because she's actually a good person and the #1 point getter in the Good Place neighborhood. And he wants to give her an hour-long speech at the welcome party, and he also gives her a sash that says best person. It's all the actors' missions to basically get Eleanor drunk at this party before her speech, but something is off with Eleanor and she actually keeps turning down all the drinks. When she eventually decides, okay, maybe I too need some shots to get through all of this, she's interrupted because she overhears someone say the name Chidi. So she pushes the shots to someone else and goes to talk to Chidi. And then we move over to Chidi's point of view. To torture Chidi in this version 2.0, he's told he actually has multiple soulmates and he must be the one who chooses one. And as you know, Chidi is probably the most indecisive person in the world and actually makes me feel a little bit better about my indecisiveness. And basically, this definitely looks like his own personal hell. He immediately connects with Angelique over Pavita as they hang out in the pizza places that have replaced all those froyo places. It's also a hint that they're in the bad place since the pizza places only serve Hawaiian pizza. Now, just as Chidi is about to pick his soulmate, Angelique, Michael cuts him off saying they figured out the glitch and Chidi's soulmate is actually Pavita. Is he okay with that? Now, instead of standing up to Michael and saying that he made a choice, Chidi just goes along with it and agrees to be Pavita's soulmate. Then at the welcome party, Chidi talks to Angelique and tells her how he really feels about her, but she's like, Chidi, we can't do this, and that's the conversation that Eleanor overheard. Eleanor tells Chidi that they need to talk and takes him to another room and shows him the note that Janet gave her. She tells him everyone's acting weird, trying to get her drunk, her soulmate runs off to the gym whenever she wants to talk, and she also got this magical bracelet thing from a silent monk. aka Jason, which has to mean something. Unfortunately for Eleanor though, Chidi is way too preoccupied with his own problems and brushes her off saying he can't help her, and that's when we go to Tahani's story. Tahani no longer gets the lavish things she had in version 1. Instead, she gets to live in a tiny house with her tiny soulmate Tomas, who is a big fan of her sister's music and even has a giant picture of Tahani's sister on the wall, which definitely does not sit well with Tahani. Instead of getting glammed up for the party, she shows up in a jean jacket, Crocs, and cargo pants to match Tomas, and she's basically miserable. So when Michael asks her if she's okay, he kind of gets some joy out of the fact that she lies to him, basically saying she's fine, even when he says he can give her whatever she wants if she just asks for it, including like a big house or the moon. We then see who Eleanor passed those shots off to as she was going to drink them before hearing Chidi's name, and that person happens to be Tahani. Now, Tahani doesn't want those shots at first, but then after meeting a garbage man who tries to bond with her over wearing the same cargo pants, yeah, she takes those shots, gets wasted, and is the one that crashes Eleanor's speech, ends up falling over the shrimp tower, and causes a fire. And that's when we shift to Jason's point of view. So Jason is once again told he's Jianyu, and this time his soulmate is Luang, who is basically a carbon copy of him and follows him everywhere. While in town, Jason gets his soulmate to go get them kites, and then Jason takes the gear off his soulmate's front bike wheel when he runs into Eleanor, which is why he hands her that gear. Now, Jason thinks he's gotten some freedom, but when he returns home, his soulmate's right there waiting for him. At the party, Michael introduces Jason to Janet, and as Tahani starts the fire, his soulmate is distracted, so Jason ends up running off. We then see Michael say this.
What the fork is happening?
Yeah, seems like his plans aren't going so well after all. At the party, Denise, who was real Eleanor in season 1, is not happy about her new role as a pizza parlor owner in version 2.0, as she wants a meatier role. As Michael's talking to her, Chidi goes and grabs Eleanor and tells her he knows the book the note was written on. Somehow they must know each other. So now the 4 humans are missing, and Michael is meeting with the actors, saying things are basically going downhill since Tahani messed up the speech, and because she thinks she belongs here, they can't really create the chaos for Eleanor like they did in version 1. Also, all the actors are pretty upset and miss their jobs torturing the Bad Place residents in the good old ways, like twisting their bodies and breaking them or setting them on fire, because that was a lot easier than what Michael's making them do. Back at Eleanor, she tells Chidi she's not supposed to be there, and then Chidi kind of starts thinking, maybe I'm not supposed to be here either, and then remembers the whole almond milk thing he thought that put him in the bad place back in version 1. Jason once again bonds with Janet and tells her the truth and says he needs to talk to someone, so she brings him to Eleanor. Chidi has now figured out that he and Eleanor must have been studying for a long time in version 1 if she got to that part of that book, or she just happened to grab a random page, but either way, something is wrong where they are. Michael then shows up and is trying to save his own ass by splitting them up, making them all go home, but people just start crashing the party. First, Tahani comes to apologize to Eleanor and says something has seemed off for her since she got there. Then all the soulmates show up, then Janet and Jason show up, and then Jason starts talking. Eleanor then figures it out, this time in record time, saying this is not the good place, and Michael is forking with them like a prank show, and they've all been here before, which she knows because of the note she left herself. This basically makes Michael have to reset everything once again, but he thinks it will work this time since there's no note, and he lies to the actors saying he told Sean they had to start again and he's okay with it. We then see that Michael, in fact, did not tell Sean and ends up telling him attempt 2 is on track. And Sean tells him it better be because there's not going to be an attempt 3, and little does he know that Michael's already on attempt 3. It ends with things being reset and Eleanor being called into Michael's office once again. Alright, so this premiere, I actually thought it was a fun premiere. I'm not sure if it's going to work for the whole season if the group keeps figuring it out and we have to keep resetting, because then it's just going to start feeling like Groundhog's Day to me, and eventually we'll get boring. But now that there is no note, I feel like it's going to take longer for Eleanor and the gang to figure it out. So what's Michael going to do this time? I also kind of wonder if they're starting to pick up on how Michael says certain things just as we do in the audience, because it kind of seemed like it in this episode. I actually do like seeing all the characters' points of view. It really worked for this hour-long episode, but most of the episodes, they're only a half hour, so I'm kind of hoping they limit the point of view to maybe 1 or 2 people, because 5 is just a lot to fit into a half-hour episode. But I do like seeing what the others have been up to, and I think that could open the door for someone other than Eleanor to figure out what's actually going on, because the first 2 times it's been Eleanor. It also seems like Tia Sakar's character, who is also known as Denise or real Eleanor, might be causing some trouble for Michael this season, at least from what I gathered in the first episode. She doesn't seem happy with the roles that she's been given now, so could she possibly end up ruining Michael's plans if he keeps giving her lame parts? Let me know what you thought of this season premiere of The Good Place in the comments, and what you think Michael is going to do to torture these 4 for the rest of the season. Then get to know more about some new shows coming out this fall, including The Mayor on ABC and Future Man over on Hulu, right over here with my exclusive interviews with the cast. And if you like what you see, feel free to subscribe. I'm Lisa, thanks so much for watching.